Hey everyone, it's Anne here from English Valley Cafe. Welcome to this English lesson. Today we're going to be talking about in and on. And this is a question that I got from a follower on Instagram. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the tips that I have to help you use prepositions, use them correctly. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with this video. So the most basic understanding of in and on is when you talk about in, you are talking about something that is surrounded by like walls or enclosed area. Okay, so for example, let me take this here. Okay, I have a container here with some pecans in the container. Now, because this is a container, it's enclosed, it has four sides to it, I can say the pecans are in the container, okay? Or I'm in my office. I am in my office surrounded by four sides of walls, or actually one side of sliding door, but I'm in an enclosed area. So I can say I'm in my office. Now, if I were to take, let's say a pencil here, if I were to put this right here, I can say the pencil is on the container. So the pencil is just touching the surface or the lid of this container. So I can say the pencil is on the container. Okay, now if I were to open the lid here and I were to put this, I can say the pencil now is in the container. Okay, if I put it all the way in, it's in the container. Okay, so the basic use of in and on is just to talk about in when you are in an enclosed area. If it's on, is only touching the surface of something. Now this is pretty easy, right? You probably learned this in the first year when you were learning English. Now what gets difficult and tricky for a lot of English learners is when we start using prepositions like in and on to talk about different things. So a general rule, okay, just to help you understand a little bit better, but don't use this rule for everything because there's always an exception in English, right? Okay, so when we use in, we are talking about more of a general concept or idea. And then on is referring to something that is more specific. Okay, so if you think of it as like a funnel here, in would be like at the top because it's used for a broader sense of talking about different things in a broader sense. But if we were to talk about on, we're pinpointing, we're being a little bit more specific. Let me give you some examples so you'll get a better understanding of what I mean about using in a more general sense, like talking about location or time, and then we use on for more specific use of time and location. So for example, if let's say I ask you, hey, can you go get my book for me? And you said, where is your book? So I might tell you my book is in my room. Okay, so I'm giving you this more of a general idea, like in your room, where in your room, right? So in your room, but it's on my bookshelf. Now you know exactly where to go look for my book. It's on my bookshelf. Okay, so that is being more specific. Other examples, like if we talk about date, I can say in 2020. So I'm talking about it can be any month in 2020. In, okay, so it's used in a more general sense. Now, if I were to say on December 7th, now I'm getting more specific, right? It's on December 7th. You know the month and you know the date. So on December 7th. Okay, so we're going from general in to specific on. Now we can use in and on to refer to locations. So if we're going to talk about a country, a state, a city, a town, we're referring to a general place. So we're going to use on. So for example, I live in the United States. I live in California. I live in Los Angeles. But if I want to tell you more specific, like what street I'm on, then we're going to use on a street. So I live on Oak Street. If you want to be even more specific, then you're going to use at to talk about the address. Okay, so in for a general location, country, state, city, town, and on for street. Oftentimes when we give direction to somewhere, we're going to say on the corner of. So if you're giving direction to a restaurant, you might say, oh, the restaurant is on the corner of 2nd Street. Another very common use of on is to talk about floor. So if you live in an apartment or a flat with several floors, several levels, we use on. So I live on the 1st floor, or I live on the 2nd floor of this apartment. Okay, I live on the 3rd floor. My office is on the 6th floor. All right, so that's the basic use of prepositions in and on to talk about places, location. Now, what gets really difficult and it gets tricky for a lot of English learners is when we start using these prepositions with adjectives, with verbs. Like for example, do I say I'm interested in something or interested on something? Do I say I'm lying in bed or lying on bed? So here I'm going to share with you some common prepositions that we use with certain words towards the end of this video. But before I do that, I want to give you the tools to learn preposition. The thing here is there are so many different combinations of using in and on. Like you can use in with adjective, you can use in with a noun, you might use in with a verb. So there's way too many combination, and it's just impossible for me to give you all of these combinations in this video, and plus it's impossible for you to remember all this. So then what can you do? Here are some tips that I'm going to share with you to help you learn these what we call collocations. Okay, so collocations are a group of English words, usually 2 or more words that always, there's no exceptions, always go together. So for example, we always say take a nap. I'm interested in something, okay, or I'm on time. Okay, so there are certain sets of words that always go together. They're like best friends, they never separate. Okay, so what can you do to learn these collocations? So the first tip to learn these collocations is to listen, read, and speak out loud over and over again. Okay, because when you're listening to English or when you're reading English, you're gonna come across a lot of phrases or collocations, and this will help you to internalize these phrases when you see them again and again. So after you see these phrases, try to say them out loud. Okay, and that way you hear yourself saying these phrases, and that'll help you remember the phrases. My second tip for you is when you are learning vocabulary words, try to learn them as a group, like phrases. Don't just learn single words, because most of the time when you see a word, you're going to see that in a whole sentence, right? So for example, going to my example earlier, take a nap. Let's say you don't know what the word nap means, but that word nap is in a whole sentence with a whole bunch of other words before and after it, right? So when you learn the word nap, try to see what other words comes before that, or what other words or phrases are following that word nap. My third tip is to use these two dictionaries to help you learn collocations. The first is the Macmillan Dictionary, and the second one is Ostic Dictionary. These two dictionaries are wonderful for learning collocations. So if you don't know a word, you type it into Macmillan, I think it's macmillan.com, I believe. I'll leave the link down in the description below and you can check that out. But when you type a word into the search, it will show you the meaning of that word, but at the same time, the Macmillan Dictionary will also give you like other collocations, so other words that go together with this particular word. Ostic Dictionary is another awesome one. I love that one. I just recently learned about this one. You can use Ostic Dictionary to learn a lot of collocations. So same thing, it's a collocation dictionary. When you type in like a word, they'll give you a whole bunch, like a list of collocations that go with that word. Okay, so these two dictionaries are awesome if you want to kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so that means that you learn a word, but you learn a whole bunch of other phrases and words that go with that word. Okay, so these are the three tips that I have for you to learn collocations. And again, I do not recommend that you try to memorize these, but try to listen a lot, read a lot, and speak out loud when you come across these phrases. All right, so the last thing I have for you here is just some common collocations that we use with in and on, just to give you an idea what I mean here. So the first example here is in, and we use collocations like lie in bed. Okay, so if you're lying in bed, that means that you are like on the bed, you are resting there. We lie on our back. Okay, so if you're lying down, you are lying on your back. Okay, so lie on your back. And these are collocations. These are words that always go together. Another example, interested in. Like, what are you interested in? Are you interested in drawing? Are you interested in singing? What are you interested in? Other examples, participate in. Like, I participate in a group discussion. What do you participate in? In the mood. This is a great collocation, right? We always say in the mood. Like, what do you feel like doing? Like, I can say, are you in the mood to go out? Are you in the mood to go to the movies? Okay, in the mood. Another example is stuck in traffic. Again, this is a collocation. We always say stuck in traffic. Some collocations with on, we spend money on something. So I can say, I spend money on decorating the house. I spend money on health food. Okay, what about you? What do you spend money on? Let me know down in the comments. Another example, insist on. Okay, that means that you are very adamant about something. You're very firm about something. You're not going to take no for an answer. So this is a collocation. We always say insist on. So for example, she insisted on eating at home tonight. Another example, go on a trip or go on a vacation, right? So we always use on a trip or on a vacation. So I can say, when was the last time you went on a trip? Okay, when was the last time you went on a trip? All right, so these are some of the common collocations that we use with in and on. There are tons and tons of them. I cannot even list all of them here in this video. So like I said, I'm trying to read, listen, repeat, and speak out loud again and again. And slowly you're going to internalize, you're going to remember these phrases, and they're going to come naturally without you even thinking like, do I use on or do I use in? Okay, so I hope you find this video useful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and tap on that bell icon so you get a notification when I upload new lessons. Thank you so much for joining me for this lesson, and I will see you in the next video.